What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another episode of PlusCast, the Geekiverse's all Disney Plus based podcast. First episode of 2020. We're a little late to the show in terms of our scheduling, but alas, we are finally here. I'm Josiah Leroy. With me today, Amanda Woomer. What's up,
Hello.
Amanda?
Good. How are you? Much. Off to not a good start.
I love it. It's more for the B-roll footage. Okay. So pre-show, Amanda's like, I'm going to try not to say anything embarrassing because I have a really, really nice clip video that I'm going to hit y'all with in the coming weeks here. All courtesy of my friend Amanda, who just...
From a single episode.
She gives us these pearls, you know? It's just, I gotta love it.
I do what I can.
It's so awesome. So if you like Disney Plus, all things Disney really, we are here to talk a little bit about that. As I said, as we get into 2020 here. So we'll try to cover a little bit here with January and February in terms of releases and what's new to watch on the service. So first of all, Amanda, what have you been watching? I know last episode we had talked, you said you had kind of seen all that you had seen and you were waiting for some new content.
Yeah.
But there's a lot on there. So what have you been watching?
So my husband and I have been binging the final season of Rebels because that's just something that was on our laundry list to do. And we finally just sat down and committed to it. I think the season is done now. I started watching the Imagineering story.
Oh, yes.
And super, super interesting. I am a huge Disney nerd, especially when it comes to like Disney the Man and Disney the Parks.
Sure.
So it's a great little series that just goes through the very beginnings all the way up to modern day and the stories that the Imagineers and the creators of the attractions and the parks, the stories that they have to share. And it's really impressive, kind of mind-boggling, and it just adds a little bit to my love that I already have for Disney, and it just makes it a little bit deeper, and it's been really cool, so I highly recommend it if you haven't watched it.
I have not yet. That is something I definitely want to circle around to, though.
It was very good.
That's cool.
Yes.
So with Rebels, and we'll get into, towards the end of the show, a little bit on the Clone Wars, the coming final season. We're going to finally end that story with 12 episodes, which it originally was announced to be 7. So that's good news, I guess. But with regards to Star Wars Rebels versus Clone Wars, I know you really are a big Clone Wars fan in terms of Star Wars material. How do you like Rebels and how they compare here?
I had a hard time with Rebels in the beginning just because of the animation style. I know people usually say that. Yes, people usually say that about the Clone Wars, and it was the same thing. I didn't start Clone Wars for a while because the animation really put me off. Same thing with Rebels. But I think that they both offer really, for a cartoon, really mature storylines.
Oh, agreed.
And I know Resistance is supposed to be a bit more dumbed down, for lack of a better term, more kid-friendly versus Rebels and Clone Wars, which has some heavy stuff in there.
There's a few episodes even, like I want to say with the Clone Wars, particularly with the Darth Maul stuff and Palpatine, and I'm like, this is a little intense for kids.
This is heavy. Like, what is this rated?
Yeah, exactly.
And I know, like, we'll talk more about Clone Wars later, but I am a firm believer that Clone Wars it's a necessary thing that people have to watch in order to fully understand the prequel trilogy.
Sure.
But Rebels is one of those shows that I feel like you can take it or leave it. You can watch it or you don't have to watch it. But if you do, it just really adds to the mythology of the Jedi and the whole story happening kind of around Rogue One's time period, leading up to the original trilogy. And it's a fun show. It's a solid storyline. And I think once you get past the weird animation, the characters are really well developed and the storylines are really, really interesting. It's not just like every so often it's like the adventure of the week.
Sure.
But there is like an overlying arc in seasons, which I always enjoy.
Me too. I think there's more depth there and it's more enjoyable. It gives you a reason to come back, I guess.
Yeah.
I ended up liking Rebels more than Clone Wars, but I mean, you might as well flip a coin for me. You know, I enjoyed them both. Speaking of Resistance, I actually just dove into that for the first time this week, believe it or not. It is definitely toned more towards kids. The animation style, again, something drastically different from the first two series, which each had their own identity. This one, if I could kind of explain it to you, if you're a video game connoisseur, it is like Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. That animation kind of cartoon, cell shaded. I wouldn't say. No, never mind. I think it's its own thing. But it's definitely different, and it sets itself apart. And it's kind of cool. Like Oscar Isaac voices Poe Dameron.
Oh, that's cool.
I did not realize until I saw this on Twitter the other day. Elijah Wood actually voices a recurring character on the show, like a First Order trooper.
That's cool.
I'm like, oh my gosh, I love Lord of the Rings. That's amazing. And then there's something else, like BB-8's always prominent. General Organa was in the first episode. So that's kind of cool as a Star Wars fan. I appreciate all of that.
Would you recommend it?
I'm only 2 episodes in. I would. Kaz is the title of the main character, or the name of the main character, and a little bit cheesy. It's like if... I don't know how to describe this. I almost feel like Tom Holland is voicing this character, but I love Tom Holland, and I don't mean to, I guess, take anything away from his abilities. But the character sounds like a really, really excited, cheesy Tom Holland is the best way to put that.
Like a teenager? Like
Yeah.
a really enthusiastic teenager?
Maybe when Tom Holland discovers in Spider-Man his world, whether it's Captain America Civil War or even the Avengers movies where everything's bigger than him, that's a little bit of this.
Okay.
So and that's not a bad thing per se, but it's not what I can tell going to be the mature storylines that we saw from Clone Wars and Rebels. So if you're a Star Wars fan, give it a shot. They're only 22-minute episodes, which is good for me. I can get through that. So take a look at that. And then Mandalorian wrapped up as well. So we're going to be getting, I know we didn't put that on the itinerary here, but season 2 is coming faster than I anticipated. I did not think we were going to.
coming this fall?
It is.
Yeah.
I did not anticipate that. I thought, okay, that's fine. We've got all these series in the works, whether it's Kenobi or Cassian and K2, probably 2021 at earliest. But Jon Favreau tweeted out an image, and it is coming this fall. So that's a good turnaround for a show like that. Obviously, this was popular, and you got to imagine Disney fast-tracked it and said, yes, we need more of that.
They struck gold.
Yes, they did. So that series wrapped up. You can check out the Geekiverse's We Have Spoken, which is a mini-series based on everything from The Mandalorian. But what did you think of it? Did you get through all of it?
Of course I did.
All right, just making sure.
Yes.
That last episode was maybe my favorite.
I loved it.
Yeah.
It was so good.
It was.
Baby Yoda. I mean, I know people have gotten yelled at for calling it Baby Yoda. The child.
We put disclaimers up
Yes.
front. We know it's not
Baby
Yoda, and there's no name for the species, so that's what it is. It's fine.
He's great.
It's
I love
fine.
him.
It is. And, Taika Waititi was really good in this one, and he
Yes.
directed the episode.
Yeah, and I heard that he's now getting his own Star Wars movie.
Oh, man, I hope that's true. He was approached. It was the last I heard. It's so funny. After I saw Thor Ragnarok, and I love Thor Ragnarok, I was like, you got to get this man in Star Wars because he's so much fun.
Yeah.
Have we talked about What We Do in the Shadows?
I just started watching it.
So have you seen the movie?
No, I'm starting to watch.
I've
the
only
TV
seen the
show.
movie and not the TV
Okay,
show.
the TV show's hilarious.
Oh, people love that show.
Yes, it's ridiculous.
Where can I watch that?
It's on Hulu right now,
Oh, yes. Okay, that's
which
super
is owned by
exciting.
Disney Plus, so this works.
Yes. What a nice little tie-in. That was awesome. I love Taika Waititi, and that was the first thing that I saw him in.
Yeah.
And in Ragnarok, I actually thought that was the voice of Rhys Darby, who, if you watch Flight of the Conchords, he is Murray, their band manager. Anyway, they're all in a lot of things together, and I thought that's where it came from. But interesting times. Hulu, I will be paying you a visit later.
Yes.
So, in terms of Disney Plus, we wanted to lay down some prominent titles that have come to the service, will be coming to the service here in the last few days in January and moving into February. So, one thing that kind of ties into also what I have been watching is the live-action Aladdin. So, I just watched that yesterday for the first time. Have you seen it?
I saw it in theaters.
I did not see it in theaters. I did not see a few other titles that we'll talk about shortly in theaters. But I really wish I had because I loved it.
I really enjoyed it. I loved, everyone was nervous about Will Smith being the genie.
100%.
And I thought he was the best part of the whole movie.
100%.
I'll say it. I was like, he did his own genie.
He did.
And there was scenes where he'd be like, mic drop. And I'm like, yes. Like, Robin Williams did his thing. Now you can do your thing. We don't have to copy anyone.
Didn't it feel like he still, like, I don't know, paid respect to that character, and there were like subtle things here and there.
Yes.
But he really made it its own.
Yes. I thought it was, I will admit, the first 20 minutes or so, I was kind of like, oh man, like, I'm not feeling it. Like, they're changing things. It's a little weird. Nothing's really sticking out to me. And then Will Smith showed up, and I was like, I'm here for it. Yes, this is fine. It
was so good. We watched it as a family last night, and it was just super enjoyable. It was funny, which, you know, is always big for me. I thought the music was very well done for the most part.
It's beautiful. It's like a Bollywood movie with all the colors and costumes.
For sure, the cultures worked into it from a pop culture standpoint too. And with Will Smith in particular, I can't speak enough to how much I enjoyed him. Yes. He was a lot of fun. And then even towards the end, without spoiling anything, because it is a little bit different from the Aladdin, I liked
the twist.
It was Same.
Good. It was good.
When Will's character, we'll say, tears up, that was enough for me as well. And I was like, oh my gosh.
Aladdin was the very first movie I ever saw in theaters.
Really?
Yes. And when the genie starts crying at the end of it, that's where I realized, wow, I'm a sucker. Woomer Waterworks just started playing.
Oh, that's funny.
Repeat it however many years later. Same exact thing. I was just like, oh God.
It hits you in a different way, right?
Yes, so good.
So my funny Aladdin story is that I have not seen the original Aladdin animated movie until 2017. Yeah.
What?
Okay, so we're going to totally create and start a segment on air later on in the show that I kind of tease. So I don't know why.
Ow.
Amanda's so mad right now. So there were a lot of Disney movies I just never saw. I don't know why, but there was also a lot, obviously, I did just growing up on.
Yeah.
For some reason, I don't know why, and maybe I did see it when I was super little. Couldn't tell you a thing about it, but we went to Disney World.
Uh-huh.
And one of the best parts of Disney World is going and renting a movie, right, every night from the Disney library, which now you probably just have Disney Plus, I would imagine. But we watched that, and Lauren my wife had seen it, numerous times.
Like most people.
But I fell in love with it. Like, how could I not?
That's wild.
Like, it's one of my favorites. I know. Pete and I had this conversation, Pete, her and I, the other day, because he was coming up with a list of 90s action movies, one a year that were his favorite, and I had seen one of the 10 from that list. And he's like, what is wrong with you? I'm like, dude, everyone thinks just because I started the Geekiverse that I have this broad, and I, to a degree I do, but there's so many things, movies I haven't seen, games I haven't played.
Wow.
Yeah.
Aladdin.
Yeah. Aladdin. So that maybe will...
I'm scared to see what else you haven't seen.
Oh gosh. I don't even... People will think differently of me for certain things. It's kind of crazy. But yeah, it's true. So I ended up falling in love with it, though. That's the important thing, right? So
30 years late.
30 years late. Get out of town. Yeah. So that happened. But anyway, Aladdin, that is now on Disney Plus. The Lion King is coming this week. So by the time you watch or listen to this episode of PlusCast, that will be on Disney Plus. You saw that, I would imagine.
I did not see that.
What?
There was okay. No, I saw the original.
I saw the original. I'm not that dense.
There was a window at the beginning of the summer where, and you're gonna hurt me, Lion King, Spider-Man, all of the summer movies, 1,000% missed out on. I feel like they were in the theaters for a few weeks and then they were gone.
I was in the same boat as you.
Okay.
For sure, because I wanted to see Aladdin and I wanted to see Lion King. There's something else in there that I missed. But you're right, because John Wick was there. That was a big one for me. Spider-Man, I had to. But I didn't even see it the first 2 weeks. I was traveling and all this, and I'm like, I gotta see Spider-Man.
Yeah, it's all these great movies that I feel like in the past... It would be a year that a Spider-Man movie would come out. And then another year, a Lion King remake would come out. And then another year, it's a Star Wars movie. But you're getting all of them in 6-7 months within each other.
Right.
I'm poor. I can't afford to see all these movies.
No, well, not to mention even just time.
Yeah.
You got to dedicate certain activities and priorities. And I am at the movies more than by far the average person, and I missed a lot last year. But we knew that because 2019 was massive.
Yeah, there was tons of movies that came out.
Like, insane between Star Wars at the end, Avengers, even, my gosh, John Wick, Jumanji, Knives Out ended up being huge. And Knives Out wouldn't have been on any of our lists, I think, going into the year. And then it ended up being this great thing. And then, not to mention the Disney movies.
Yeah.
And I feel like there's a Disney movie in there that I didn't see Frozen 2.
I haven't seen that yet. I didn't see Toy Story 4.
Yes, that's the one I'm thinking of. So I did not see Toy Story 4.
Yeah.
And that surprises me a lot because I felt like I was going to be there day one.
Yeah.
Just because that was like my earliest favorite movie.
And I feel like that and Lion King came out and Aladdin all came out freakishly close to each other, where it's like,
they did.
Spread them out, please.
I don't know why Lion King and Aladdin came out so close specifically, because those were like
they're
in
both
the same.
The live action, remakes.
Exactly.
But yeah,
I don't know.
2009, I failed miserably at seeing movies.
That's funny. I had the exact same issue. Maybe it was right around like Nickel City Con time. Like that was a tough time for.
It's the only valid excuse.
It's the only valid excuse. You got to get to Nickel City Con. Yeah, I don't know. Toy Story, speaking of which, is coming in February. February 5th, I want to say we had it's on one of my lists here. I've got a few, unfortunately, going on. And that's one I really need to watch right away.
Yeah, I'm like depending on Disney Plus to bring these titles because I miss them in theaters. I'm not going to buy them on DVD. So please get them on Disney Plus sooner rather than later.
Exactly. It's funny because we buy Blu-rays. Usually it's more so some of the bigger movies that like I know I'm going to watch, whether it's like a Star Wars or a Marvel movie. But these ones that we may have purchased in the past, not so much anymore because of Disney Plus. Like, why?
There's no reason.
It'll be on there probably for a good long time, we would imagine. But I don't know. Anyway, there's other stuff coming. Those are kind of the big movies that are coming to the service in February. February 1st, there's a movie called Big Business, as well as Around the World in 80 Days. Ironically enough, I did see that one in theaters.
Around the World in 80 Days? I remember that movie. I loved it.
So the list here from Collider, this is where we got this list, says the 2004 adaptation stars Steve Coogan as a scientist who, in order to win a bet, must travel around the world by any means necessary in 80 days. And I was like, pretty sure that was Jackie Chan, right? In that movie. And
I think he was in it. Arnold Schwarzenegger was also in it.
Was he really?
Yes, he played a very offensive role.
I don't remember that at all.
Yes.
Oh my gosh, offensive. That's hilarious.
Yes.
I need to find out more. I barely remember the movie, but I do remember Steve Coogan, and I always loved Jackie Chan. Yeah. So I clicked on the link, and there was a picture of Jackie. I'm like, there we go. We talked about this pre-show. Neither of us know about this movie at all. It's called Old Dogs, February 9th. It stars Robin Williams and John Travolta as slick bachelors thrown into parenting roles when one of them learns he actually fathered a son and has to look after him for a bit. We were thinking Wild Hogs, right? Like,
yes,
that was definitely
but that doesn't
thing.
Sound like it at all.
No, that definitely had Tim Allen in it.
I wish it would say like what year these are from. Like what year is Old Dogs from?
So looking at the picture we're looking at of Robin Williams and John Travolta, got to be somewhat recent.
Yeah, maybe like early to mid 2000s.
That would exactly be my guess.
Yeah.
It's got to be as vague as that is, right around there.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Like a 10-year window.
Yeah, and then February 16th, Iron Man and Hulk, Heroes United, which I know really nothing about, but that is an animated film coming to Disney+. And the big thing, maybe we should just go out of order here a little bit. Oh, hang on. Let me look at the list of what we got going on. Okay. So, no, I want to leave it the way it is. Long story short.
Go in order.
We'll go in order here. Star Wars The Clone Wars, we're going to wrap up the show with. We'll get to that in just a few moments. That is going to be coming February 17th. That is notably the 7th and what we believe will be the final season of that series. Anyway, just some other little news bits here. Speaking of Star Wars Jedi Temple Challenge has been announced as a show. We don't have a time frame on this, I believe, but kind of an interesting.
I'm so
thing,
excited for it.
Right? Like it just seems like the perfect match.
Yeah.
You know, like this would have been a perfect 90s Nickelodeon show.
100%. That's what I have envisioned in my mind. So if it's not like that, I'm going to be kind of disappointed.
Oh, totally. Yeah, I'm in the same exact boat. what's really interesting is it's going to be hosted by Ahmed Best, who played Jar Jar Binks.
Really?
Yes.
I did not know that.
So he's back. And it's funny, he made an appearance at Star Wars Celebration earlier this year, I believe. No. Well, earlier this year. When I say that, I mean 2019 spring.
Last year.
he definitely was, because it was the 20th anniversary of Episode 1.
Wow.
Yeah. I know, weird, right?
That's gross.
It's gross. It's the best way to put it. Well, he was welcomed back with open arms. Like, he got just this awesome ovation, and he shouldn't take any crap for that character.
I personally feel like it's because of like the Jar Jar Sith Lord rumor that has gone around for years now, which makes his character infinitely cooler.
I say anytime you watch The Phantom Menace, to suspend the notion that is not true and pretend it is, because it really makes things different.
It does.
It's bizarre.
It's freaky. My husband and I, when we were watching it, and with that in our minds, we were like, you can't tell me that he's not. Like, oh, so good.
Like, you definitely are watching the TV and go, what? It's amazing. Also, well, I can't. Never mind. I was going to totally spoil something from Rise of Skywalker, and I can't do that.
Can't do that yet.
No, not yet. So that's really exciting. I hope that is in the works. I imagine that's not something that would need like a few years out. You know,
Yeah.
like it doesn't need a lot of pre-production. It's let's make it and let's go. But we'll see. Hopefully later this year. What also is interesting is WandaVision, the series from Marvel, is now coming in 2020. It was originally going to be 2021 to coincide with Doctor Strange, the sequel, because they were going to tie into each other in terms of storyline. However, Doctor Strange recently, it was reported that Scott Dickerson, who's the director, was either let go or left the project. He probably left the project due to creative differences, as always.
Always.
But wonder if that has anything to do at all with WandaVision, which has now been bumped up.
And I also heard that the Hawkeye show has kind of been pushed off somewhat indefinitely. I wonder if that also like rearranged things possibly.
It's possible. They may have come out too early with given the timeline with all these. Right? Like
a little too ambitious.
Yeah. Especially if production hasn't even started on a number of them.
And if you look at like the quality of The Mandalorian, you kind of expect every Disney Plus original series to have that same quality. And if it doesn't, I'm not going to say it's going to be a problem, but
it does set the bar though for expectations.
Extraordinarily high.
Yeah, there's no doubt about it. So I thought that was an interesting tidbit, and this news for WandaVision coming out this year was thrown in like the middle of a quick video that released on Twitter, which also showed a very quick glimpse of the Lizzie McGuire reboot, which I'm not sure what they're calling that, or maybe just Lizzie McGuire. But I kind of like that that's happening. Like that's like fond nostalgia from growing up, I think. Like when we were growing up together, Lizzie McGuire was always
everything.
Yeah, like we always talked about it.
It was for 3 years. It was from 2001 to 2004. But I feel like it almost defined the Disney Channel, good Disney Channel generation. I'll say it. Like, it's not like the shows they have on now.
I feel like the cutoff, like to where it was no longer the generation, was maybe like Phil of the Future.
Yeah, I never watched that.
That
like
was
Wizards of Waverly Place. Never watched that. I don't even know if that was Nickelodeon. I could be wrong. I don't even know.
Oh gosh, no, I don't know either.
Yeah, and like with the movies like Cheetah Girls, I was too old at that point for Cheetah Girls, and
for sure
I'm trying to think of like even like High School Musical, Camp Rock.
Oh yeah, no, none of it.
None of those. Anything prior to that, I'm like, yes, golden. Disney Channel original movies, Disney Channel original TV shows. Yeah, perfection.
I'm totally with you there. So I'm excited that that's happening. Pirates of the Caribbean was something that was, as we shift here a little bit into another news item, Pirates of the Caribbean was promoted as being a reason to buy Disney Plus. It said Pirates of the Caribbean, Marvel, Star Wars, Disney Originals, Disney Channel Originals, all in one place. Pirates of the Caribbean in there. Jack Sparrow, big promotion. Pirates of the Caribbean is currently off, Disney Plus, which is quick, right?
That's very quick.
Month and a half, really, from when it was removed. All of this due to streaming rights. So I didn't know this. Star Wars The Force Awakens was a last-second addition to Disney Plus because Starz owns the streaming rights in terms of there's like a time embargo on it. and Disney Plus basically they negotiated a deal for promoting stars. So they could have Force Awakens and basically say they have all the Skywalker movies minus Episode 9.
Yeah.
I imagine a lot of that went on.
Oh, I'm sure.
With a lot of different franchises.
A lot of ping pong back and forth.
Yes, and especially Marvel, too, because originally it was reported only like 7 movies in the MCU were going to be there, and then it was like 15 or 16.
I was going to say it was almost all of them.
Yeah, so it's kind of interesting to see how it plays out from the business standpoint. But anyway, with Pirates of the Caribbean, you'll notice that and maybe some other movies that are now missing. Home Alone was it for me because right around Christmas, right after Christmas, we wanted to watch it. Not a big deal. It's an accessible movie, but I was on Disney Plus and noticed only Home Alone 3 was available, and come on. The series ended after 2.
Nobody wants that. No. The only Home Alone 3 I want is with 30-some-odd-year-old Macaulay Culkin. That's all I want.
I want. You saw that picture that he tweeted out of him? Yes. Okay. That's what I want. I think that's hilarious.
That's all I need.
Macaulay Culkin is just... He's had this nice little pop culture revival from the sense
bring
of
him back.
His social media presence. He's funny.
Yes.
Did you see the video a few years back of... It's like a 5-minute video of him in character.
Yes. And isn't it for like home security or something?
I think so.
Yeah.
As like an adult
yeah.
Kevin. And
he's
how,
like eating his ice cream watching the horrible Christmas movie.
It like traumatized him. Oh my gosh. It's so awesome.
It's good.
So this is what I wanted to bring up. And we kind of already played it. And it's something that I told Pete, a.k.a. the Grumpy Geek, that we need to do across Geekiverse shows. So not limited to PlusCast. But maybe we should title it, I Can't Believe Josiah Hasn't Seen That. But it's I Can't Believe You Haven't Seen That. And we kind of already played.
Yeah.
And I have seen it. I didn't see it for a long time. Which there really was no excuse to not see Aladdin.
Yeah.
But like legitimately, if you picked like a name of a Disney movie, a beloved movie, it doesn't have to be Disney, but we're on PlusCast. Odds are I would bet you I haven't seen it.
Really?
Yeah. I don't know if you want to take a second and think of one, or even as we're going through just like the end list of the Clone Wars here, but if one pops up.
Tarzan.
Animated? Like
yeah.
Yeah. Oh
okay.
yeah, I've seen it.
Mulan?
Yes.
Okay. Little Mermaid.
Yes. Not
You hesitated.
Little Mermaid. It's funny though, even
it's the redhead with the clamshell bra.
Oh, yeah, no. Yeah, no, I've definitely seen it. But, like, even to this day, I barely remember anything that went on in that movie. It's a weird... Like, I know the general arc, but I must not have watched it a lot at all.
The Great Mouse Detective.
No. I don't think so, so I'm going to say no.
The Jungle Book.
Oh, my gosh. Okay. Amanda, let me learn you something here. That is my favorite Disney animated movie.
Really? Is it really?
Growing up, I cannot tell you how many times I watched it.
Really?
And how many times in the car I will play Bare Necessities for Daisy.
It's a good song.
Yes.
It's a good one.
So, yeah, no, I have not seen the live-action Jungle Book.
It was pretty good.
It was Jon Favreau, right?
Yes.
I love him.
Yes, and the boy who played Mowgli, I gave him all these props because he was literally like playing against a green screen.
I was going to say, he was acting with nothing,
yes,
right?
and he did fantastic. So I'm not a huge fan of like that style, which is why I'm nervous about the new Lion King. But little Mowgli, he was fabulous.
It's funny because I was literally just about to ask you live-action Jungle Book or live-action Lion King, and then realized, 10 minutes ago we talked about you not having seen it. I just imagine, or by default, assume you have seen things.
But, I saw the trailer for it in theaters, and as soon as Mufasa started talking, I started crying. So all I need to hear is James Earl Jones' voice and, the instrumental music from Lion King, and I'm done.
So he just turned 89 this week.
Oh, my gosh.
Yeah.
He needs to record every single word in the English language.
Agreed.
So we can continue using him after he's dead.
I think the same way with a lot of things, this is local for us in Western New York, but with Rick Jenneret, the voice of the Buffalo Sabres, just a very unique PA, or not PA announcer, but commentator.
Yeah.
If you love hockey, you know Rick Jenneret is. Anyway, I've always wanted them to record him in some way, shape, or form saying that the Sabres have won the Stanley Cup, in case
they ever do,
which probably not going to happen, so why bother? But if they do and he is not with us anymore, that they could play that. And I think Buffalo just would lose it. That's how we are here, right?
Yeah.
So it's funny that you mentioned that with James Earl Jones.
Yes.
We had a discussion a few years ago one of the earliest Geekiverse recordings, and it was because of Rogue One and how James Earl Jones was coming back to voice him. And it was a discussion on who should voice Darth Vader if they ever decided that, like, past James Earl Jones, whether he retired or passes away one day, like, who should voice him?
James Earl Jones.
I had
2.0.
I had what I thought was, so they can do a lot of things now without actually having to create.
Yeah.
But I said Benedict Cumberbatch.
Ooh, he's got a good, like, the nice, like, deep, full voice.
It's got the timbre, right? Like,
it's good. I like, you feel it in your chest when he talks.
Yeah.
I would.
You'd allow it, right?
I'd allow it, but only because it's Benedict Cumberbatch.
Right. See, I played to my audience, folks.
That's true.
No, I love
easy.
I love Benedict Cumberbatch.
Yeah.
Just anything he's in, he commands when he's on screen. Or
and it's so funny because he's
voices.
like the skinny white guy, but he's like really commanding.
You would never know. You would never know.
Would not know.
So that was a fun discussion because everyone kind of looked at me like I was crazy when I posed that question. But, fair enough. But Benedict Cumberbatch, I thought would be fun.
Or just record every single word in the English language.
Also possible.
That
yes.
I've been saying it for years, so they need to get on it.
It would take time, but yes, let's do that. So yeah, that's a segment I want to play on all of our podcasts and shows from now on, just to make people.
You did pretty good.
Yeah, that was pretty good. You threw some good ones at me. Think about it.
Think of better ones.
Think of for like next episode, popular ones. Because those are, the hidden gems are I may be just as likely to have seen.
I almost said The Black Cauldron. Have you seen The Black Cauldron?
No.
Super uplifting. You should totally watch it.
I feel like you're lying.
Yeah, I am. It's super depressing.
I am not.
Yes, it's from the Disney Dark Ages for a reason. But it's really good.
Is it on Disney Plus?
Ooh. Do you know? I think so. I feel like I saw it, but I could also be hallucinating. If not, I have it for you if you want to borrow it. I have it on VHS, DVD, and digital.
Oh my gosh.
I really like it.
All right, well, maybe I'll get your login and get all depressed. We'll see. Because we were thinking about last episode doing a segment where we challenge each other to watch something, and I thought this was maybe better just to like...
Because people
will get mad and have gotten mad at me for not seeing certain things, and I was like, oh, let's make this a thing, and I'll make a master list somewhere. So, yeah. Before we wrap up today's episode of PlusCast, we're going to get to a little bit of a primer on the Season 7 premiere of The Clone Wars. So coming February 17th. And I'm 99% sure these are coming weekly. Have you seen anywhere?
I haven't seen anywhere. I'm assuming they'll do that just to draw out subscriptions, kind of like The Mandalorian did.
Everything else for Disney Plus original content has been, to my knowledge. Like, no series has fully dropped yet. Because, like, some outlets were vague about it. And I was like, maybe I'm reading too much into it. But I got to imagine it's weekly. Anyway, we are going to have a Geekiverse show based on that, like we did for Mandalorian, just week to week to have a discussion on it. So 5 things you need to know just about the Clone Wars before you get to Season 7 here. It's not something you should skip. Like Amanda said, it's something, especially if you like Star Wars, get into it because there's no shortage on the lore and Easter eggs. George Lucas was a part of this the entire way. He won't be, for Season 7, but like he had his hand in all of this. So if you appreciated and his work throughout the years, you'll definitely like this on top of it. So number 1, this may be obvious, but it is set indeed between episodes 2 and 3. So Attack of the Clones and Revenge of the Sith. This I had read the other day. The series was meant to conclude with like Palpatine's abduction or like leading up to Revenge of the Sith, like right away.
Yeah.
I don't know if we're going to get there or not, but that would be an interesting thought.
And like that's the one thing I always like whenever I try to encourage people to watch it, I always say like it's the Clone Wars. This is the biggest war in like the Star Wars universe. Like you always hear people talk about it. Even in A New Hope, you say, years ago you helped my father in the Clone Wars, and you finally, however many years later, get to see the Clone Wars. And for me, it really adds to the character of Anakin. Because when I saw it in the theaters, I'm like, what is his problem? Like, he's just like this whiny little brat. Like, do what you're told. Oh my gosh. And in it, like, you learn so much more about his character and his interaction with his Padawan Spoiler alert, not really, because it's an old show. And just why he would be so distrusting of the Jedi Council and why he would be so willing to kind of listen to Palpatine. Whereas if you're just watching Revenge of the Sith, you're like, what is this guy's problem? Like, he's getting everything he deserves in the end. Whereas if you actually watch the Clone Wars, it all makes sense. And it makes him a more likable character. In my opinion.
I think so. I think it adds depth. And what's more is it bridges the gap between episode 2 Anakin and episode 3 Anakin. Because they are different characters.
Completely.
Even though it's on the same trajectory, there is a lot missing there. And I think George always intended that because he wanted to do this series. There's just too much to put on the big screen to dive into for the Clone Wars. But the episode 3 Anakin is far more likable than, I would argue, than the episode 2 version, who's young and kind of immature and whiny. And maybe that's not Hayden Christensen's fault. Maybe that's lack of direction. But it's what we got.
He's also playing a younger character.
He is playing a younger character. And I made this comparison. I think Kylo Ren is what was always intended to be the execution for Anakin in the prequels. Like, this is what was always intended to be. Like, I think he's a much more popular character, much more endearing character than what we saw with Anakin back in those days.
I agree.
But like she said, it adds a lot of depth to his character. So if you didn't care for the prequels, maybe this enhances it a bit for you.
It definitely enhanced it for me because, like, I always say, like, the prequels weren't that well written, but if you plop Clone Wars in the middle of that trilogy, it just makes it so much better and more cohesive. It makes it a better all-around series.
Absolutely. I agree. I do. I think it does make them better. Point number 2. This is actually different from the Clone Wars movie and Cartoon Network original series. So first off, Cartoon Network, they did a 2-part animated series. I want to say they were about 45 minutes apiece. And it was 2003, 2004 that those had come out. They do not connect to this series. They are separate, no longer considered canon. However, the Clone Wars series that we're getting that's tied into Disney now, that is all considered canon. All of this is one, cohesive universe. There was a Clone Wars movie in 2008 that is a part of this universe, but it's often forgotten because it kind of was a little bit cheesy, maybe a little bit, again, for lack of a better term, dumbed down. The character of Ahsoka was not fully realized yet, and they didn't really have an identity for her just yet, among other issues. And it was kind of a little bit of a letdown. The Clone Wars series, the episodic series, came along and just changed everything.
Yeah.
It grew, especially as we got to probably seasons 2 and 3.
Yeah, they were great.
Yeah, so there's a difference there. Point number 3, the episodes are not chronological. Did you know this?
Yes, it drives me insane.
It's weird.
It drives me crazy. It's like when they released Firefly on network TV.
Like, it doesn't really make sense that they would do this because this was a planned thing. It wasn't an event of the week.
Let's make it up as we go. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, it's not an adventure of the week. These are arcs that you need to be able to comprehend.
So there's numerous lists you can find online. Just Google the Clone Wars chronological order. I believe in season 3 they become chronological from there on out. Like, there's meaningful arcs that go all the way through. And that's not to take away from seasons 1 and 2 because there's some really good stuff in there. But as long as you don't care about more so of the connectivity from week to week, or episode to episode, I should say, maybe you won't mind.
Yeah, and I have heard that hopefully people are hoping that Disney offers an option to be able to watch it.
I never considered that.
Chronologically.
That would be amazing.
Where it's like you can watch it as it aired, or you can watch it how it's meant to be viewed. If they do that,
that's so awesome.
That would be great. And I feel like you're Disney. Bob Iger, get on it. You can do it.
Yeah. Well, what's interesting is the way they lay out the Star Wars movies in the, like if you click on the Star Wars icon,
section,
they are chronological by release, which is weird. Again, why isn't there an option for just episodes 1 through 8? It goes 4, 5, 6, and then 1, 2, 3, and it's all over the place. So I don't know. That is a really good suggestion for a feature.
Get on it, Bob.
Yeah, get going, Bob. What are you doing? Tweet us, Bob. Number 4, I'm going to let you take this one. So Amanda's favorite Star Wars character ever, I would say?
Yes.
Yeah. The introduction of Ahsoka Tano, who a lot of, we grew up with the originals and then the prequels. So, Luke, Leia, Vader, you name it, Obi-Wan. And a lot of kids, nowadays, their first interaction, their meeting to Star Wars, is Ahsoka Tano.
Yes.
So tell us about Ahsoka.
So Ahsoka is the coolest Star Wars character of all time. She is Anakin's Padawan. This is one of those little factoids that a lot of people, a lot of fans of Star Wars who only watch the movies have no idea that Anakin had a Padawan. Really, really cool. You meet her when she's a youngling, basically. She's this, basically, for lack of a better word, a little girl.
Yeah.
And then
She's young.
Yeah, she's this little thing. And throughout the series, she just grows up. She matures. Her powers become more attuned. She's just one of those characters that she's not a damsel in distress. She plays a strong, independent woman while also being very in tune with her emotions and very supportive and loving, especially towards Anakin, her master.
What a great relationship.
It is. It's such a good relationship between the two of them. And again, like when you watch their relationship, and without spoiling anything, certain things happen between the Jedi Council and Ahsoka and Anakin. It just, you understand why Anakin was so willing to turn his back basically on the Jedi Council. You get it. It makes sense, and it just adds to his character. And Ahsoka has become so much more popular, probably in the last 6 or 7 years now.
I'd say since Clone Wars ended pretty much.
Yeah, because
originally.
it was sort of like she didn't really get an ending. Like the whole series didn't really get an ending. And then she does appear again in Rebels.
Man, I didn't know that she did until
She did.
Right. It wasn't
so
spoiled
good.
for me.
I screamed at the TV when she showed up because I heard her voice and I was like, that sounds like Ashley
you didn't know
Eckstein.
either?
I had no idea.
Oh, man.
And then she just
I should've
showed
seen that.
up and my husband's kind of like, are you okay? I love Ahsoka Tano. Back when they had Star Wars weekends at Disney Hollywood Studios, you could meet her.
I saw her on stage at a Star Wars weekend.
I did too.
I remember messaging you. I think you were working or interning for Disney. I apologize.
Probably.
But
Yeah.
I don't think you were there that week that we were there. I went with Lauren and her parents, and it was a Star Wars weekend.
Yep.
And she was there, as well as James Arnold Taylor, voice of Obi-Wan.
Oh, yeah.
And Ray Park, who was Darth Maul.
Yeah.
In episode 1. So it was pretty freaking awesome.
Yeah, I loved it. They need to bring back Star Wars weekends. But I'm just going to
Yeah, they should.
It was so much fun. But yeah, Ahsoka Tano, I mean, she has her own book now.
It's a great book.
I saw that Rosario Dawson is kind of like campaigning. I reported on it for the Geekiverse probably like 2 or 3 years ago now, where I was like, she wants to play Ahsoka. And now there's a campaign going that she wants to play Ahsoka in The Mandalorian.
Oh, man. Sign me up. I get goosebumps
Could
right
be
now.
possible. However, her voice was in The Rise of Skywalker.
Yes. So
Spoiler alert.
one of the voices you hear towards the end of the movie, we'll say, is Ashley Eckstein,
Yes.
which is pretty freaking awesome.
Again, freaked out in the middle of the movie theater.
Oh, man, I was waiting for it. That's so cool.
Yeah. So Ahsoka Tano, she's one of those characters that, especially like one of like, I feel like in the beginning, Star Wars really lacked female characters. For me, growing up, like all I had was Princess Leia, which was fine. Like she kicks butt, love her, fine, great. But then like you had Padme. I was a tomboy growing up, so I did not identify with Padme in any way, shape, or form. And it wasn't really until the newer things, the newer movies, that you started really getting more female characters. But even to this day, Ahsoka Tano, she's cool, she's strong, but she's also very, not to say emotional, because that makes her sound like flighty, but really in tune and loving and compassionate. That's a better word to use.
Sure. She is emotional, but it's not in a negative light.
Yeah, she's
right?
in tune with her emotions.
And I think in the broader discussion on Anakin leaving the Jedi Order, which we see, maybe that's part of the reason he's told to be almost like a mindless robot, right?
Yeah.
He can't love, he can't have emotion, he can't care about his mom. And Ahsoka does have that emotion and this caring touch where Anakin wants that, is trained to not have it, and it's hard to pass that on. And then when what happens to Ahsoka happens, which you got to watch because it is such a pivotal moment in why Anakin is who he becomes.
Yes.
It's you got to watch it.
Yes.
That's all I could say about it. Yeah.
I love Ahsoka.
So I've seen rumors for a long time. I really don't know if there's any credence to it at all, but that if they did anything with Ahsoka, that Disney has their eye on Brie Larson, and I hear it.
Yeah.
I don't see it
I
so
don't
much.
see it at all.
like Rosario Dawson, like there's so many like doctored up images online
Yes.
from Photoshop
Yes.
of what she would look like, and it's like, oh my gosh,
Yeah.
like she is it.
Yeah.
And she's a fan of the character. My gosh, make it happen.
Yeah.
But that being said, I was like, Brie Larson, I don't think so.
I mean, I'm not feeling it. I'll
Yeah.
admit, I never saw Captain Marvel.
It's okay.
Yeah, that's what literally everyone said. Like, you don't have to.
It's
So I'm kind of like,
Yeah.
no.
it's okay. Yeah, that's where I'm at. And nothing against Brie Larson, but it's okay.
Yeah.
She has a much better presence in Endgame.
Yes.
We'll just say that. Last point here, number 5. The series is produced by Dave Filoni, who is responsible for Star Wars Rebels, now Star Wars Resistance, which is in its second and final season, and also has a big hand in The Mandalorian, including producing a few episodes and a brief cameo as an X-Wing pilot, which is great.
I did not know that.
Yeah.
I'll have to rewatch it.
The episode, it's either 5 or 6, where they go to break out the Twi'lek out of prison.
Mm-hmm.
The X-Wing pilots are all the producers. So it's Filoni.
Fun.
I don't remember the one gentleman's name. And then Deborah Chow, who is going to be doing the Kenobi series. Yeah.
So exciting.
Super awesome. Super, super awesome. But Dave Filoni, I don't remember if you were, I think I talked about this with John. Do you know how he like got involved?
No.
He met George Lucas at Star Wars Celebration.
I was going to say, I really hope he was at like a Comic-Con or
Yeah.
something.
Dressed up as
What a nerd.
I want to say it was either Plo Koon or Kit Fisto, which
Wow.
you'll know in if you are like a Star Wars nerd like me or you've watched Clone Wars. But like that's what happened. He met him there. I don't know why or what conversation took place, but then like he got involved and started
He's
working.
living the dream.
Like isn't it just gives such hope. Like,
to the rest of us.
It does. It's so awesome. He wasn't even, I don't even think he was there like doing what we do, which is like the media side of things. It's just, that's so cool. But he is a well-respected member of the pop culture community. He is, if you don't know Dave Filoni, he's always the guy in the cowboy hat.
Yes.
So you'll see him soon enough, I'm sure. I don't know if there's anything else I wanted to bring up. I feel like there's something else in my mind that I wanted to talk about, but alas, it is gone. So maybe it will come up as soon as we hit the stop
recording.
button. We're going to wrap this episode up of PlusCast. If you are a fan of all things Disney, be sure to subscribe to youtube.com/thegeekiverse to watch the monthly show or listen on Apple Podcasts or SoundCloud or directly at our website, thegeekiverse.com. Amanda, you've got a lot going on in your life right now. What is something to plug for yourself for Spook Eats, and something, or where can we find you on social media?
So I have a book that's been recently released. Over 200 copies have been sold.
That's awesome.
I'm so excited.
Congrats.
Thank
That's
you.
a good start.
So it is the Haunted Atlas of Western New York. So if you are in the Western New York area, or if you're just interested in weird history of places, it's a super fun book. Again, over 200 people have already read it, and I assume they're happy readers. I haven't heard otherwise.
Well, 200 have bought it.
Yeah, I know.
More have read it probably, right?
Probably.
But get your own copy.
Yeah.
Damn it.
Yeah. So that's available on Amazon. If you're local, there are several places, different libraries and haunted locations that I present at and sell the books. But I have a website, spookeats.com, where all the updates are on there. And I am on all the social media. Sound like an old lady.
All the social medias.
Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter as @spookeats. It's nice and easy.
It is, and that's what makes it great. So go check out Amanda's website as well as pick up a copy of the book. You got to do it. I'm at Josiah D. Leroy on social media, across all social media. Lots going on with the Geekiverse video game-wise. We just released our top 10 most anticipated games of 2020, as well as our list of the top 10 games of 2019. If you are into podcasts, check out Geeks Got Game. You'll hear myself as well as John and Jeff on that podcast talking about everything gaming. So, next month, we'll be back for another episode of PlusCast. There's some good stuff coming in the pipeline for March that we already know of to Disney+. So if you enjoyed this episode, all we ask is share it with a friend. We'd appreciate it. It goes a long way. For Amanda, I'm Josiah. We will see you soon.